Well, welcome to Wood Chip Woodworking. I hope everybody's doing well, and you please feel free to share, subscribe, to like. There's a hype button down below in the comment section, or right below the save button and all that. Please hit that button. Let's see what that does to the algorithm to get my channel to grow a little bit more. So welcome to Wood Chip Woodworking. Tonight what we're going to do is a whiskey smoker. So I've got to do a demo in a couple weeks, so I thought I would do a whiskey smoker for this demo, bring you along for the ride so you see how it's done. This is a different style than the one that I just did, so this will be a little round one. So let's get started on this project. It ought to be a fun one. So hang tight and let's get over to the bandsaw and cut her blank. All right, so basically I got a piece of oak here. This I'm going to cut basically two pieces out of this, and we'll make a blank out of this, and we'll get it started on this. So I got my band set up for the width of it, and now I just need to cut it this way. So let's get started on this and get her cut. Got our first one cut. Now we got to cut the top. Do the same thing here. All right, we got our pieces cut, and now let's find our centers, and we'll go over to the lathe and we'll start doing that. So hang tight. Alrighty, so basically I got my block here. I can do it one of two ways. I can go from corner to corner, which is probably the easiest way to do it. And we need a center mark on this side, so I'll do the same thing on this side. And okay, we got our center there. The other way, with this ruler here, this is from Grizzly, grizzly.com. It's a center finder. So basically you lay it on here like so, and you say, okay, 2 1/4, 2 1/4. So this blank is right there, and then you go this way. It should be 2 1/4 and 2 1/4. It's right there, and you do it that way. So that would be my center there. Do the same thing here. And this blank here is, just for reference, it's a 4 1/2 inch blank. So we're going to make about a 4 1/2 inch whiskey smoker. Two 1/4, 2 1/4. And if it's not exact, that's not a big deal, because we got to turn a lot of this away. Okay, so we got our center here. Got our center of the marked. Let's go over to the lathe and get set up so we can start turning. So hang tight. All right, so basically what we're going to do, and I could probably cut this on the bandsaw. In fact, you know what? Since I got my center, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut a circle out of this, get rid of these corners so I'm not turning that. So let me cut them real quick on the bandsaw, and I'll be right back. So hang tight. All righty, so I just went ahead and just round them off. It's not perfect, but that's fine because we're going to round them off on the lathe here. So I've marked my center point. And I guess it's always good to do that before you round them off. That helps. And I'm going to bring my tailstock up to support it. All right. So basically one of the first things I want to do is I want to put a spigot in here that I can grab a hold of. And I'm going to do it on the outer edge because I have to flip it around and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of round this just a hair. Actually, let's go ahead and round it. Get that rounded. So got my face shield here. Got my bowl gouge. And let's get it rounded. So make sure everything's good. Oh, guess what? This piece here is vital. You know, you got to plug it in for the lathe to work. So, sorry about that. I always unplug stuff when I'm getting done and don't think about it. Let's try it again. There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. So I'm just going to round this. And kind of start from the center and work out. That'll get it should be pretty close to being round, yeah. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so now what I want to do is put a spigot on the outer edge here. And I got my calibrated instrument for making my spigots. So I'm going to make a spigot to go on the end here. So I'm just going to take and get that done. Make sure that's the right size. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to do the other one real quick and get that one done, and I'll be right back. Hang tight. All right, so I got the tenons cut on both of them, and I got it in my chuck. Now basically what we need to do, and this is just a drain screen here, so what I want to do is cut this out. So I always want to cut the smaller one out first, which is like 1 1/16. So I get my drill chuck here, wherever I put it. I don't remember where I put it. There it is. I'm going to drill a hole out. And I always set my quill at 1 inch so I know where I'm at. And I got a Forstner bit that's 1 1/16. So put that in there. And we're going to drill this out about the size of that, and then this will go inside of that. So set it up for that inch. So how far down do we have to go is, I want to measure this. So we're going to go down roughly 3/4 of an inch. Okay. So we're going to go down 3/4 of an inch. Got 3/4 of an inch. This is a piece of red oak, so it's going to be pretty hard, but it'll be good for whiskey smoker. Didn't have any white oak like whiskey barrels are made out of, so I thought, well, I got some red oak, we'll just use it. So just going to take my time here. That's a 1/8 inch. That's a 1/2 inch. And that right there is 3/4. Okay. So that's 3/4. Okay. So now the other part is since I'm going down through there, I'm going to go down a full inch because that's got to go down in there and that'll sit down in roughly down in there like so. So I'm going to go down a little bit deeper. So I'm going to go down a full inch on it. Might be a little overkill, but that's all right. There it is. Because I got some room, I got to take some off the top anyway. Okay. Pull this out. And now we'll swap out to the other one, which is 1 1/8 inch, and that's the largest Forstner bit I have. But you want to go somewhere. This here, the outer edge is like 1 3/4 inches. I don't have a Forstner bit that large, so we're going to use 1 1/8 inch, and then I'll just turn it out from there. And I'm only going to go down about 1/8 inch or so. Go down about 1/8 inch. Just taking my time, letting it cut. There we go. It's about 1/8 inch. Yeah, that's good right there. Okay, so now this, I'll have to cut that out so this fits inside of that. So let's get rid of our tailstock here out of the way. And let me get set up for the cut that out. So hang tight. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to trim this out so this fits. And you got to do it slowly. Sneak up on it, try to get it to fit. Okay, so I got to go a little bit more. Okay, see how close we are. A little bit more. Pretty close. And just a little bit more. Now, This is where the fun part comes, because you got to be exact here. Well, not exact, but it helps. Get it close as possible. There. It's a little bit loose, but that's fine. Now, this part here, you see how that fits in there. So I got to go take this off to get that to fit. So I always taper it a little bit. See if that, how we're looking there. Okay, so now you see I'm resting on the bottom, so I'm not deep enough. So I want to go deeper there. So let's get my drill bit back out and let's drill a little bit deeper. So hang tight. All right, so we're going to drill down just a little bit deeper. So well, if I do this, and I roughly get right there's even with this edge here, and if I go down like I did before, which was an inch, I'm just over a ½ inch there. So I want to go down not quite 3/4. Let's see where I'm at depth wise. It's pretty close, still touching the bottom. So I'm going to go down about another 1/8 of an inch or so. There we are. That's pretty close. I just got to clean out this edge now. So I'm going to take my spindle gouge, clean that out. Come on now. Let's try my bowl gouge, see if that's easier. I want to kind of follow the contour of that to get in there and see how that fits in there real nicely. So that's what that'll fit in there. So this edge here, I'm going to turn this around and grip that with a chuck. But the next thing I want to do is I want to trim this off, round this over, smooth out this edge here. So I'm going to take that corner off, round it just a hair. And the lid is going to fit over top, so I want to bring that down. So I'm going to put just a recess on it about and I just make sure this is flat. And I'm going to take off that edge and this edge here. So it's kind of rounded. Yeah, that's good. Now, basically, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of sandpaper just to kind of clean it up. Nothing fancy, so hang tight. All right, so here's the inside of it. That'll fit in there, and I put this little lip on there so my lid will fit over top of that. So that's where we're at. Now I'm going to reverse this around and grab that with the chuck, so hang tight. So as you can see, I reversed it around, got it turned around, so I got the jaws opening up into that. Now all I want to do is shape this to do that. I got that little top lip there, so I'll leave that. And this is personal preference of how you want to do that. So I'm just going to kind of make the top part into a bead, and then we'll shape the base of it. Just make sure you can see what I'm doing. Yes, you can. Good deal. All right. So I'm just going to kind of make a bead right here. I'm going to turn this down to this. So I'm going to move this. I'm going to leave a good inch or so at the base of that. So you can make this any shape you want. I just kind of make it like this and then come around and make this somewhat flat. And turn this around. Now this piece here, I got to remember too, is I got my insert into that. So if I think about that, this piece is sitting in there. I don't want this thinner, so I can go down a little bit more. So I got my calipers here, and if I set my calipers to the upper part of this, then I know I shouldn't go past that. And you can see I've got quite a bit of meat there that I can take off. So I'm going to take a little bit more off of that. Get that a little bit more thinner is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start here and okay. If you know the exact size of your whiskey glass, you can make this the size of that. I typically have no clue, so I always make them just about like that so the glass will sit right down in there. It'll kind of, sometimes it'll sit right in there, but that's the general shape of it right there. So now I want to clean up the base of it here. This here. So I want to clean this up. And I concave this just a hair. just because it round that off. It gives it a little bit of shape. Yeah, just like that. So that would be that piece there. Okay, so now what we need to do is drill our holes for that. So I'm going to drill the first one in the dead center to let the smoke in. I need to get an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I'll be right back. So hang tight. All right, so I got a 1/8 inch drill bit, and I drill my center hole at an 1/8 inch, and then I drill the 4 side holes at roughly a 1/16. I'll show you that in 1 second. And you can drill as many holes as you want. I tend to drill about 4 of them. And I just drill straight through the center of it. Okay, I'm through. Okay. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll get our drill, and I'll drill the other holes. So hang tight 1 second here. All right, so I try to make them even as possible. So what I do is typically I set this up like this, and then I'll put a mark here, and then I come over when that's roughly there, put a mark there, and a mark there. Now you can put, stagger your holes and put more holes in there, but 4 to me is relatively good. So I just take my drill, make sure, yes, we're recording, mic's good. And I start kind of about an 1/8 inch up from the base, and I go in on a fairly steep angle. And I just drill in. There. Do the same thing here. And if you keep this like at a 90 degree, like if it's 9 o'clock, and when you drill in, go straight in till you get it started, and then just start moving your drill. And then sometimes I will put one between each one. So I look at it and say, I'm going to put one right there. And in this case, I think I'm going to put one more in. Adds a little bit of smoke to it, more smoke to your bourbon or whiskey. And these, I just go kind of straight in. I go straight in from the side. I don't angle these. Okay. that takes care of the base then for it there. And I'll do a quick sanding on that and I'll be right back. Hang tight. All right, so this is drilling the holes in the side. You see them right there. That's what it looks like from the outside. And then the inside, you'll see the holes on the inside there. So when the whiskey smoke comes in, you put your shavings in there, the smoke will have a tendency to go down through that in there. Now, you could come up and you could go up higher so that your holes are up higher up in here if you wanted to. Typically, sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. That's the way this one fell today, so that's what it is. So there's the base of our smoker. So now we got to turn the top to fit the top of the smoker. So let's get that checked up and let's get started on that one. Hang tight. All right, so now we got to make this fit this outer edge here. So what I want to do is I want to measure this to get an idea of where this is at. Okay, that gives me a rough idea of where I'm at. So I know I can't go down in there because I want this to fit on top of that. So I need to take this edge down so it goes over top of that. So that being said, got her all secured. Run my tailstock up. Give me a little bit of room here. All right. So I want this to fit inside of there. So I want to make a little bit of a indentation for this to sit in there. So got to think about this. This is going to be, okay. So I need to turn the inside out to that edge. Okay, so my tailstock might be in the way. It's fine. Yeah, I think my tailstock's going to be in the way for right now. What I'm going to try to do. I need to turn this so it fits in there. So yeah, this outer edge has to go down in that. So we're going to face shield. All right. We're going to take this out. And I do want to dome this just a little bit. Okay, so what I really, truly am looking to do is make a piece to fit in that. So in order to do that, I'm going to say, need to go out about right in there. Okay, so we're going to put a mark on here so we see it. So I know where I'm at. That's pretty close. As long as I stay in the inside of that, we'll be all set. Okay, let's see how close I am for that to fit. Not quite there. Okay, so I go just a hair wider. Look at that. Real close. Just got to clean up that edge and we'll have it. So I'm going to use my baton, clean that up. Okay. see if she fits now. Look at that. It's a good fit. And you want it fairly snug because you don't want the smoke to come out through there. So that'll be perfect fit right there. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to go deeper on that. A little bit deeper. Not quite like that. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to round that edge just a little bit so I take away that sharpness of that. And I'm going to true this up. And do this. There. Now the other thing is I want a little bit of a lip here because I want a concave. I want that help make a seal. So this just, you don't have to do this, but it's one of the ones that I like to do. So I'm a little bit big, but that's fine because I'm going to take the majority of this out anyway. So I want to concave this and put a spigot in the middle. So I'm going to clean up this edge. So I'm going to go down in there. There. Let's see if that fits in there. Look at that. Beautiful fit. Not real tight, not real loose, but it's a good fit. Okay, so now I just want to concave this part, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper here so I can grab that with my chuck. So I'm going to go a little bit more so I can grab that with my chuck because I got to turn this around. I want a good shoulder to grab a hold of. Okay. And now I want to concave the center of that. And you can make the inside of this however you feel fit. I always tend to make a concave in that. Like that. Okay. And that fits pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick sanding on that inside, and I'll be right back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it around, and we're going to grab the inside of this. Make sure I can grab a hold of that good. Yep. So loosen this up. I'll turn this around and grab the inside of that. And then we'll turn the top. Perfect. We're just getting close to being about done here. Run my tailstock up, make sure I'm centered. Yep. I'm going to expand into that like so. There we are. Okay, so now we need to shape the top of this. So I usually put a little bit of a knob in there. That's why this is so thick. So let's do that. Hang on one second. I got to go check on my X2. Hang tight. All right, so let's shape the top. And hang on. I gotta write my directions down. Hang tight. All right, so now let's shape the top up here real quick. I'm gonna leave that the way it is, and then I'm just gonna go down with it. So that's where you wear a face shield, right there. Let's see what came loose. Hopefully it wasn't anything up here. And it was. So now I gotta fix that. That was part where I didn't want coming loose. So, and I got the piece here. Yep. So, yeah. And that's the piece there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue that back on. And then I'll return that so I don't have to shape it too much loose. So hang tight. Repair job. All right, our repair job is done. So now I got to be extremely careful with turning that piece. So I'm going to start out here and go down. That's another reason why you wear a face shield, is because that piece there, you got that glue. And I don't want to tear it off again. Okay. I'm just going to trim this out for a knob on the top. Now I'm going to switch over to my smaller spindle guide to shape this. looks pretty good. Yeah. I'll take this away and I'll finish off this little bit here. And then we'll do some sanding and this project will be close to being done. So this here, I'm just going to concave this a little bit. Add a little bit of a texture to it. And I'm going to put one right in here. There. I'll do a little sanding and then we'll be right back and show you what the finished project looks like. So hang tight. All right, so here's our finished project. So there's the base, put that in there. And that'll be like that. So let's put a coat of finish on it. And I got, once again, some coconut oil here. Some coconut oil here. You don't really want to put anything on there, but you are down in there, but you can go up in here. So I just usually just finish this right here. And this top edge. Just put a nice good coat on it. And just rub it in. And it's not going to hurt to use it. This is coconut oil. I kind of like this finish. I think walrus oil is a good finish. It's made with shellac and coconut oil and something else. I don't remember what I heard it was. But this is just pure, straight up coconut oil. Nothing fancy. And this one here, I just do the whole thing. Give it a good coat. Not going to hurt it any. And you can do these lids any way you like them. I kind of like this style. So it's my version of it. I'm thinking writing an article for our AAW magazine and see if it'll get published. So I just take this here and I'll wipe off all the excess. And if you get it down in there, it's not a big deal. It's coconut oil, so it won't hurt anything. And just use a rag to wipe off all the excess. I think it looks pretty good, personally. All right. And that'll dry. So to use this, get my little fancy cup here again. Okay, so you got your cup. Put your bourbon in there, whiskey in there, whatever it is. Put it in a cup. You set this on top. And then you get you some shavings. And you put your screen in, like so. You put the shavings down in there, like that. And then you get your torch, which I'm going to go get. Got my torch here. You light your torch, and you can't really use a lighter, so you got to use some kind of a torch. This propane torch. You torch this, burn it, and once you get the fire going and stuff, you take your lid and you push it over top, and it puts the fire out, but it also forces that smoke down into your whiskey or your bourbon, however it is. So that right there is our whiskey smoker. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I thought it was a pretty fun project to do. I'm glad you came along for the ride. I'll be doing a demo on this in a couple weeks at the North Coast Wood Turners and the Buckeye Wood Turners up and around Cleveland area. So if you're in that area, stop by and see me. You'll see me do one of these and go from there. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to share, subscribe, like, hit that little hype button down below, and make you a whiskey smoker, bourbon smoker. Smoke some bourbon and enjoy it. Have a good night. Thank you, and see you on the next one. Bye.